is not a drill. This is not a drill. This is a drill.
Yo, this is Julian. Hey guys, this is Julian. My camera is way overexposed. There, it's a little bit better now. Hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to this month's Fix Your Project stream. In this series of live streams, if you're new here, I basically take your project submissions, I fix them to my specification, or do the changes that I think will make them a better song, and then return them to you at the end. If you're interested in submitting for next stream, go to the link in the description of this video, patreon.com/JulianGray, and you can make a pledge, and pledgers of the channel will be able to submit to these streams. So go check it out. There's a lot of other cool, unique benefits for signing up to my Patreon, including Discord roles. You get my discography download, you get my download of live streams, and a lot of other cool stuff. I'm sure you can connect with a lot of the other musicians in our Discord as well. They're an incredible group of people. All right, guys, so as usual, we have about 5 songs today. I always pick like the first 5 submissions, and we're going to get through them. I'm going to be streaming for about 2 hours today. And again, if you want to send in your track, unfortunately, we take the tracks ahead of these streams because otherwise we'd end up streaming for 5 hours like I used to do back in 2018 or whatever. So we have 5 tracks today. If you want to submit to the next one, you can tune in next month. We do this usually on the second Saturday of the month. This month we had to push it back because I was out of town. Man, I'm still overexposed. I was out of town this month, so we're doing it this week. And generally these take place on the second Saturday of the month. All right, guys, so without any further ado, I'm going to hop in here and we'll get things started. Let me just jump over to this. Cool. So as you can see, we're now on Ableton Live, and we're going to dive into the project files that we have here. Some of them are still downloading, but I have most of them here. I did have a request from Essity to open their project file later in the stream, so we'll try to address that one last. So we're going to address this operator one. This is operator, and it doesn't have like a name on it, but I'm sure I can find whose it was if we went to the page. If you are the writer of this song, make sure to let us know in the chat on the side of the screen here. Generally, I always encourage you to put your name in the project file so that I know, whose song I'm working on. We only had like 5, people in the stream, or we only have like 5 projects in the stream, so it's one of 5 musicians that I think they're going to be here today. Ali, welcome. I'm awake at the same time as one of these streams. Yeah, we do these every second Saturday of the month at noon. All right, so this is Operator by whoever it's by. Unfortunately, I don't know, but we're going to check this out. That's nice. Gotta fix my chair. All right, it seems like that's the whole track. Somebody said I need to turn it up a bit. I'm assuming that the audio routing is not working correctly. Let me correct that. There we go. Let me know if that's okay, guys. Should be. Sorry about that. I just installed a new update to my audio driver. So since last time, I think we've had a change in the audio devices. We'll go ahead and play this thing again so you guys can hear the mix with the audio correct. Just let me know in the chat if it sounds all right. I think it should now. All right, here we go. It also doesn't help that the song is so loud. We'll address that, I think, first of any of the things we change. Recently got one of these thermos water bottles, and it's pretty life-changing. If you don't have one, it's definitely worth it. Like, I can have like water on my desk for like hours and it's still cold. All right, so this is a pretty cool idea. I think there's a lot of really awesome potential here. I think the main thing that is bothering me is that the song is just way too loud. Everything about it is too loud. In this intro, you have like distortion, like notably. And I can't tell if that's intentional or if it's the volume clipping the master. And then in your drop, you have, very clear clipping here. If we put on a volume meter, like let's say like loudness meter by Julian. Yeah, we're like -5 with no limiting at all. So that's a bit too loud. So what I would suggest doing is if you are just getting new to this and you want to make sure that you're not clipping and you want to make sure that the song, you know, has all the dynamics that it can and your sounds are translating the best they can. The best way to do that is to mix and write your stuff at like -6 or -10. I know that over time you're going to push that volume up, but it's good to start off pretty quiet. So like if we just take all of these down to -10, the master first of all won't be clipping. We also won't be hitting the master at -1 or whatever. You want to come into your limiting or your master chain at a pretty quiet level so that you can make up that volume. You don't want to come into your master at +5 or whatever. So I always start off by reducing stuff down to -10 or like -5 or 6, just so you have a little bit more headroom to play with. This also gives you the ability to push tracks up and down really easily without having to deal with pushing over 0. I know that's like triggering for some people. So if I had this at -1 or like 0 and I need to turn this up, like this element is clearly too quiet, it feels wrong to push this into like the positives. Like if I push this into like +3 or something, it feels like feels psychologically wrong to do that, and some people that's a deterrent for them for turning it up. One of the things I like to preach to my students is to always remove those deterrents. If there's something that's preventing you from doing what your gut is telling you to do, that's a problem. So example, I don't like to automate my volume channels on each individual track, because if I want to make a gut instinct adjustment to this kick, for example, and I have like a volume automation line, throughout. If I want to turn that kick up 5 decibels, there's no easy way for me to do that just on a whim, be like this, And that freedom to go with your gut is really what makes a really good workflow, because your gut is really your instinct and it's your skill. It's how good you're mixing. If you're, second guessing yourself based on some sort of hurdle in between, it's not a good thing. Garden Sound, welcome to the chat, man. I haven't seen you around in a long time. What if I send you a project and it doesn't need fixing? Then I'll make it worse. All right, so first thing we're going to address, I'm just going to turn everything down. Like 10 decibels is way too loud. We were clipping like 6 or more. So now this should correct at least some of that. I can give it like a few decibels more, like maybe we can go to -6 instead of 10. We're still clipping somehow. Alright, -10 it is. So if we listen at this quieter volume without like clipping the master, hitting like Ableton's built-in limiter, you can kind of hear a lot more of the mix problems when it's at this quieter level. When you're blasting something out, it's easy to mask over mix problems, but at this really quiet level, I can clearly hear stuff that's wrong. Like the drums sound way too quiet relative to your bass, and variety of other things. There's not a lot of difference between the kick volume, let's say, and then the rest of the song. So the first thing I'm going to do is turn up the drums. So I'm just going to grab these. Well, first I'll actually move them so all the drums are together. So this is our kick, our claps here. Let's see if we can find like your drums. So it's just a kick and clap right now. Having a hard time finding your shaker. I don't know where that is. This one? You have this labeled as Vox, like vocals. I'm gonna call this shaker. And I'm just gonna keep all of these together at the top so you can, more easily adjust the volume of all of these together. So in, this dance music genre that you're writing here, I think the most important thing to prioritize is your drums. You always want your kick and your drums to be up front because that's where, the energy is when you're listening to it in the club or what have you. So I'm gonna just take the kick, clap, and shaker up 5. This might be too much at first, but we'll see. Remarkably, we're still almost clipping. But that's already better. I think these are still too quiet. I'm just gonna take these to neutral. These guys can come down a little bit more. That's another thing. Your kick, generally you want it to be the loudest element in the song just so it, really carries the groove and drives the song forward. And then a lot of times I like to address the relationship between the kick and the bass. So what we'll do here is we'll just solo these two together and we'll try to get these together. I already like that relationship more. The kick feels more forward. I think we can make improvements even from here. So first and foremost, the bass channel is clipping. So I'm going to turn that down so we're not. And then maybe we can give back some of that volume here. Rather than do it on the compressor though, maybe I'll just turn down the volume on these guys because these are the real culprit. Like this guy is extremely loud. I'm curious why you would turn that up so much. What the reasoning was behind that. Unfortunately, I don't know whose project this is because they didn't put their name in the thing. But if it's your project, then let us know. So we can give a little bit of that bass back, but we want our kick to really be up in the front. We want our kick to carry the groove of the song. And then the kick, we want to really dominate over the bass, so we can use a sidechain to do that. So what I'll do is I'll just dial the attack back even a little bit more so you get a really sharp click. And then, oops, that's not it. Give it a little bit more of a slice. Yeah. See, that's sounding instantly better and more glued together. It seems like you had another element in here. This is not much. I think this is just a subwoofer. Or a sub for your subwoofer. Let me take a look at your, like what's coming through here. Yeah, that's just sub, straight sub. So rather than call this texture, I'm going to call this sub. And we can play these together with our bass channel. And I want to EQ this kick a little bit. I want to give it a little bit more in the mid-low, and I want to dip some of this mid out. That mid is where a lot of that boxiness is. Like if I did the adverse, yeah, I'm just going to pull that out. I want that sub and mid to really punch through. Really quick, I want to, on the master, put a limiter or something so that we aren't clipping all the time, and also so we can see how this sounds a little bit more compressed. Okay, and then let's see what we got for these basses. I want to isolate them and make them, all have their own place. Going through ozone. Let's see what that is. I'm also curious what the reasoning for this stuff was. Like, it's not adding anything to the sound, it's kind of detracting from it, in my opinion. We can give it a little bit more volume. This is like your main bass, like the aggressive one. So I want to make sure that this one is, you know, most in the foreground. This is like your sub. And this is like a nice like turnaround bass. So for this pluck bass, I want to, you know, make sure that we keep the high end almost like the priority, because this is such an aggressive sound, and this is the bass that's really going to carry, you know, the lead element of the bass, what makes it strong. I'm going to use the OTT by Xfer because it's you know, really good for these like EDM centric basses with a ton of distortion on them. So we're going to grab OTT. I'm going to turn the depth down because, as you can hear, you know, 100% OTT is way too much. But if we use it at like 20% and give it a high and mid boost, sometimes it gives like a nice sharpness to the sound. See what you got going on in Serum too. That's instantly thickened it up. You give it a little bit of drive on that filter. A little less compression too. Yeah, that's instantly sounding thicker. Let's play that with the kick now. That transient's a bit too long. I'm going to shorten it. Now bass is a little loud again relative to the kick. And as for our sub, I'm just going to really obliterate that. I don't want that to be anywhere near our kick, so let's make it, you know, instant attack all the way down, and then turn the ratio to like maybe 4-1 or something. So we're really crushing it. And I only want to listen for the click of the kick drum. So maybe like 2,000 hertz. If you have a sub right now, you can feel that motion. So this is weird. I've discussed this in previous videos, but if you're actually boosting your low end like this, you're also adversely removing the high end, because this curve is no different from, say, this curve here. And it's just a difference of a few decibels. So like this curve here, if you pushed it up 6 decibels, it would be the same as a low boost. So you don't ever want to, you know, do something as drastic as this, because you're adversely removing the high end as you're boosting the low end, and that's not good. So I'm just going to remove this band that you had on here, and I'm just going to, you know, flatten it out a bit more and see if that doesn't sound better. Maybe a little boost here. Love that. And you have this other bass that's not grouped. I don't know that you need this. Yeah, that's sounding awesome. And then let's go ahead and throw our, you know, our other drums in here so we can hear how that sounds together now. I like this idea here, but the low octave within this other sound you have is really, really hard on the ears because it almost sounds like you're distorting. I know that might be the intention, but maybe for the drop we can, you know, lose that low octave or something. Or I don't know what you have going on actually in this sound, but you have something going on here that sounds like you're distorting. Okay, so it's your sample hold. Maybe for the drop we can lose this or something, like automate the gain or the mix amount so that it doesn't sound like destroyed in the drop. Because it sounds kind of cool here because it sounds like, you know, like a loose cable or something, but it doesn't work in the drop, I don't think. Just kind of wanted to be more pure here. Put the LFO tool last. Make it a little bit more drastic. So you have a separate channel called sub bass. Maybe we can put this in the sub group too. I didn't see that before. Yeah, you have two basses that don't really need to be in here. Like this is a sub and this is also a sub, so I'd say select one and then use that. And then make your cut all the way to the bottom so you can really get out of there when the kick hits. OGT. Get a punch at the top. Yeah. So, yeah, let's hear that now. See, I still don't love how that sounds. It almost sounds unintentionally distorted. There's better ways to go about that. Like, you could use like a bit reduction or something that sounds less like destroyed. But instantly, I mean, this mix is sounding much better just by, you know, setting the levels right. One thing I want to try is a little bit of delay on that intro here. I think this could create a lot of tension, make this cooler. Something like this. And then, you know, drop it all the way down as soon as you hit. Oh, there's a fly that came through the window. Drop it all the way down as soon as you hit the drop, so then it's like this really tense build-up. I'm not in love with this kick, but for what it is, it sounds alright. Give it a little bit more of this versus this. And then if you really want to make it good, use a better limiter rather than using the Ableton one that I just put on there. You can grab, you know, like, let's say FabFilter Pro L or Elevate by Newfangled. Let's say Pro L. FabFilter. Like so. I still think your bass needs a little bit more crunch in the top. Might be a little bit of distortion or something, but I think it is sounding better than when I got it. Be a little bit of unison on that pluck. And maybe you could automate it. Just the stereo width of a little bit of unison really helps. It's just something's up with this. Doesn't have like the sound I'm looking for. Might be this too. Yeah. Yeah, that kick isn't great, but I think that's what I'll do for this one because we're already at a half hour. So yeah, that was Operator. I'm not sure whose this was. If it is yours, let me know in the comments. I did this in live 11. I'm sorry if you're in live 10. I don't know if this is gonna open, but I hope that you can learn something from what I did on stream. Maybe you can translate it back down to 10. So yeah, that's that. That's Operator. Well done. Everybody give a round of applause in the chat. It was a good tune. I really enjoyed that one. Next up we have Dustin Rosada, and it's called With You. This is in Ableton Live 10 as well, so I'll go ahead and open this in 10. Now, if you have a Live 10 project for next month, make sure to put Live 10 in the description of the project so that I know. Otherwise, by default, I open these in 11. All right. Doop-a-doop-boop. Oops, I just did that. Where's Juno? Patrol the fly, cat. Yeah, the cat probably will, to be honest. I don't have your Waves plugins, but shouldn't be that big an issue. Excuse me. Does not appear to be a valid wave file. Well, let's hope that that doesn't affect too much. Let's check this out. Actually, gotta do this first. This is why I hate the intermediary period between live versions, because I'm always switching back between 10 and 11 on these streams. I've done this from like 9 to 10, 10 to 11. Yeah. I hope you guys can hear that. It's noticeably quieter than the last one. Nice. So, I don't have any of your mastering stuff. So I'm just gonna stick. Oh, I do have Pro L. I don't know why it's not working.
My body took your body, let us sweat.
Now, I don't know if everything made it through because this sounds remarkably empty. I love your vocal stuff.
You got me feeling like my body's hot and nice. Tell me what I gotta do to keep you hot and nice. Just
I also
tell
don't
me
have
what
vintage.
you like, baby. Got me going, got you going crazy. Loving you, baby. Let your hair go speed.
I'm gonna do this.
Spinning it. Ah, my body touch your body, let us sweat.
Pattern is really nice in the Juno.
rubbing on each other, got us feeling kinda homey. Tonight we're going down, let's get high up with Miss Mary. Time to take a break, but you fall in love with me like I'm Drake. It's hard for us to press the. Ooh, tonight we're going down on and on. Fuck the neighbors.
I don't have your bass
Been waiting
either.
for a beat, putting up the heat. I see you
your
later. Temperature is rising. Don't really like, but you gotta talk so fast the way your back arm sliding. Oh. Party's over here, let's just call my people. Party's over here, let's just call my people. Party's over here, let's just call my people. Party's over here.
I'm wondering, Dustin, if you're in the chat, man, do you have a bounce of this, like a wave or like a SoundCloud link or something? Because I'm missing a lot of elements from this. I think your M1 bass didn't come through, and your reverb didn't come through. So if you want everyone to hear like the finished or like the most actual real version of this, send it and I'll play it through the thing. You can DM it to me on Twitter or something. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to help because the stuff didn't come through, but thanks for the hair comment. It's kind of a mess right now. Okay, cool.
You got me feeling my body's hot and nice. Tell me what I gotta do to keep you happy.
It's vibe, man. This is a really good tune.
Baby, got me going, got you going crazy. Loving you, baby, let your head go spinning, spinning it. Ah, my body touch your body, look sweet.
This is smooth. All right, so he's confirming in the chat that the only thing we're missing is the bass line. So a few things on this one. I think the arrangement could be a little stronger. Like there's not a lot of like suspense or tension trying to go somewhere else. It's kind of, the changes just kind of happen. So maybe improving upon that might be helpful. There's a few things like mix wise that I think could be better. Like
When I'm with you,
granted, I don't have your
got me
bass.
feeling.
I'm just gonna duplicate this. Dustin, what kind of bass is this? Like a real guitar bass or like an actual like synthesizer? I might even have it, but no. Okay. Sometimes it does that if it's not labeled the exact same thing, it doesn't load. Yeah, I don't have your bass line, but let's address some of these other mixing things I have.
When I'm with you,
So maybe I'll just
you
take
got me feeling like my body's
this
hot.
and stick Serum on it or something. Okay, it's a real bass sample. Oh, I see. So it's like you grabbed it and you like got it. I'll just do Contact then, so you can kind of hear it. Come on. So you can hear like where this is going. It's probably not as good as the one you have. If you just grab like a, bass guitar.
You got me feeling like my body's hot and nice. Tell me what I gotta do to keep you hot and nice.
Oh, it's a
Just tell me
stand-up.
what you like, baby. Got me going, got you going crazy. Let My body's hot and nice. Tell me what I gotta do
Smooth, man.
to keep you hot and nice. Just tell me what you like, baby. Got me going, got you going crazy. Loving you, baby. Let your hair go speed.
So I think here you could probably use a few more elements to fill this up, whether it be like some really twinkly percussion, like a wind chime or something like that, or some sort of like guitar like swell or something. It could be really nice here. You're going for this very like passionate, like seductive, like sexy sound here. It's very like slow, groovy, and subdued. So you don't want to overdo this with like a big chord pad or something, but I think a little bit of something here might work. One other thing I wanted to address is the vocal. I think could have a little bit better of a chain on it. So what I'm going to do is just grab your vocal chain. I'm going to duplicate it so I don't mess up your original. And then I just want to make some adjustments here to try to put it more in line with the genre. So you're kind of going for that like R&B kind of pop style. So I'm going to maybe unfreeze these mains. Now, I don't know what you have on here. Fresh air, nectar. Okay, maybe I'll just leave it as it is, and then I'll just use the group because I don't have nectar, and I know that that's like pitch correction, and it's like a big part of it. So I'll just call this like mains. So what I'll do is I'll stick a EQ first. Let's see what we're dealing with here.
Harder when I'm with you.
Feels like we're missing something. I'm gonna remove this.
Tell me what I gotta do to keep you hot and nice. Just tell me what you like, baby. Got me going.
So give it a little lift in the top so you have a little more plosive, and that gives this crispness and this like pop R&B feeling. I want to say you have some sort of like low pass or something on one of these channels. I just don't have access to them, and if you do, pull that off because it feels a little bit dull. The waves for pitch correction, I don't know if I have that. Yeah, I don't have that either, but what we'll do is use a little bit of EQ like we have.
Got me going, got you going crazy. Loving you, baby, let your hair go spin. Spinning it. Ow, my body touch your body, let us sway.
Are these the same thing as the original, or are these recorded doubles? I think these are the exact same in a copy. So I think what you're trying to do here is like a vocal double, and you're panning them hard, and you're using reverb or what have you to separate these from the main. But what this does when you use a exact copy is that you introduce something called phase misalignment. So what happens is, if you're familiar with the phaser plugin or like any sort of phaser guitar pedal or whatever, a phaser is when you take two copies of the exact same sound, misalign one of them at a certain set rate, like a certain frequency, and then the misalignment of those two sounds create this really interesting phenomenon called phase, or misaligned phase. When you have something that's perfectly in phase, it's when they're perfectly on top of each other. And when you have two elements or two copies of the same sound that are perfectly in phase or perfectly aligned, you end up with something that is twice the volume. So if you ever just duplicated a channel and it sounds like better, it's really just because you've doubled the volume in its totality. So if you have a vocal at -1 and you duplicate that entire vocal verbatim to another channel at -1, you're just layering two copies of the exact same sound on top of each other, basically just turning up the volume of the sound. But if you take one of those and you shift it slightly off time, you end up with the phaser effect. And the problem with doing doubling like this is that when you take an exact copy of the same vocal and you do it like 2 or 3 times, like you have here, the plugins that you use in the chain, let's say like the Waves plugin or the Fresh Air or Nectar, they're bound to have very small, maybe millisecond long delay differences in the computation. So like, how long does this plugin take to process the audio, it introduces a very small amount of lag, and that pushes the vocal back like whatever fraction of a second, whatever, maybe 20 milliseconds. But 20 milliseconds of misalignment is enough to push the phase out of phase. And what that does is creates this weird phaser effect on some notes. So if you've ever taken two vocals, or you've taken one vocal, copied it, so you have two vocals, two duplicates of the same thing, put an effect on the second one, and suddenly you have this weird like phasey like problem. It's because those two vocals are now slightly out of phase, and then you have like the effect added to one of them. But fundamentally, you're creating a phaser unintentionally, and it's not a good thing. So rather than doing this, if you really want to do doubles like this, where you have like, you know, one pan left, one pan right, you have one that's with reverb, one without, the best way to do this is to just sing the take again and get another copy, another recorded copy, because it's no longer exactly the same as the original. But for the sake of this, I'm just going to mute these two channels, and we'll just deal with this one. And I think that'll clear up a lot of the mess with the vocal too. So here's with it.
You got me feeling like my body's hot and nice. Tell me what I gotta do.
See how like much better that sounds?
To keep you hot and nice, just tell me what you like. Baby, got me going, got you.
It's clearer. And these are just unnecessary. So I'm going to use this one channel you have here. From here, I'm just going to try to see if this sounds okay without the processing. Forgive me if the auto-tune is bad and it's embarrassing, but for the sake of science, let's try it. So I'm going to lose the gate first.
You got me feeling like my body's hot and nice. Tell me what I gotta do to keep you hot and nice.
It's still a little bit dark. It's not super bright. And I think this might be in the way you recorded the vocal. So there's a variety of different ways to record a vocal performance. If you're, I don't know what type of mic you used, but if you're recording it like this, and I'm talking to you above the microphone, you hear how much like lower in my diaphragm or like in my throat the sound sounds like, and there's not a lot of presence in the high end. But as I move like this, you get a lot more clarity in the highs. And as I pull away a bit more, you get even more clarity in the highs, because the highs are what's translated, the lows aren't getting as far. They're not overpowering the sound. So when you're recording your vocal, don't record up like this, and don't record too close, because then you get this ASMR-y type sound. You want to record from maybe a foot or two away, and you get, you know, all the clarity and the crispness of the high end without overbearing on the low end. And it sounds like this was recorded in a weird way where the low end is overbearing.
Body's hot and nice. Tell me what I gotta do.
I bet you if we looked at the EQ of this, we'd see some weird stuff.
Baby, got me going, got you going crazy.
Yeah, it's a little bit low favoring. We also have very little information up here at the top. I don't know how this happened. Like, I don't know what the source of this vocal is, but it does feel really muffled. So it's going to be hard to fix that in post, but we're going to try. So like we were doing before, I'm just going to grab, that EQ. We can boost up some high end. It's hard to boost something that's not there, though. So if you didn't get the high end in the performance, there's not much you can do in way of making new high end. What we can do, though, is like you had on there, Fresh Air. Really, really cool plugin for adding, basically high end.
You got me feeling like my body's hot and nice. Tell me what I gotta do.
It's still a little dull. It almost sounds like it's recorded on like an iPhone mic or something. It doesn't have that like sharpness. If if you look at the EQ, you can see like the direct roll off here. What we could actually do is use like span, and you can see this. Span. Yeah. Yeah, so you see that like weird EQ shape. It's very abnormal. There's like really strong peaks in some places, but rolls off here at like 8K, and then there's nothing up here. This is a circumstance where I think it's best to try to get another take on this with a different microphone or a different mic placement. But if you had to fix it, like I was saying, we can boost the high end, maybe use the fresh air a little bit, try to give it some sharpness.
Keep you hot and nice. Just tell me what you like, baby. Got me going, got you going crazy. You baby, let your head go spinning, spinning it. Ah, my body touch your body, let us sweat.
It's a really sexy song, man. I love the energy for this track. It's beautiful. Yeah, I just want to stick a little bit of insert reverb on this, outside of the the sends you're using, just to give a little bit of control to just this particular channel. Maybe like at a 15%. I'm gonna shut my window. Sounds like there's a lot of noise out there.
You got me feeling like my body's hot and nice. Tell me what I gotta do.
Didn't help much, but it helped a little.
To keep you hot and nice, just tell me what you like, baby. Got me going, got you going crazy.
You also have a few spots in here that are like clearly clipping, like here.
Going crazy, got you going crazy.
Might be my
You baby,
limiting
let
skill.
your head go spinning, spinning it. Ah, my body touch your body, let us sweat.
Yeah, a little bit of limiting. Might be the limiter that's clipping.
Oh, baby, when I'm with you, you got me feeling like my body's hot and nice. Tell me what I.
Yeah, I think it's weird mic placement that got this weird performance. I would try it again. It almost sounds like the microphone was backwards or something, like the phase is reversed.
Body's hot and nice. Tell me.
It's actually not a bad idea. I'll try flipping the phase of the sound. So, try this. Flip phase right and left.
Body's hot and nice. Tell me what I gotta do to keep you hot and nice. Just tell me what you.
I do like that more. It does sound like maybe it was recorded backwards. So if you don't know what phase or the phase of the sound is, basically when your speaker moves, you have positive signal and you have negative signal. So negative signal is pulling in and positive signal is pushing out, and that's how speakers make sound. It's a vibration. It's pushing out and then pulling in at a certain rate. Whatever the rate is the pitch that you're hearing, and that's how sound works. So if your phase is reversed, so like if you record a mic, let's say if you had the mic backwards, for example, or if you had your mic on the wrong phase alignment setting, which some mics have this, like a switch for the phase. Sometimes when a singer goes high, like a really loud note, like generally a high signal, it can be reversed. So instead of pushing out the speaker, it's pulling it in, and you get this really weird phenomenon where the rest of the song is pushing out and the whatever instrument is pulling in. So it's always worth it looking at your phase. I don't know if this is right. I'd have to really look at it and get into it. It's easier to tell on like headphones too, but to me that sounds a little bit better.
Oh, baby, when I'm with you.
It's going to be really hard to correct this vocal though, because there's no high end. Yeah, it's so scattered. I'm curious, Dustin, do you have did you process this and then put it into Ableton, or is this like recorded from like a what kind of microphone did you use for this?
Oh, baby, when when I'm with you. You got me feeling like.
What we could also try is, this is really aggressive. I used to do this a lot on my dancier stuff. There's a plugin called OTT that we were just using in the other project. And OTT is really, really over the top. That's why it's called OTT. It's a over the top compressor. And sometimes you can use this in moderation to get a really sharpness, or get your sharpness back where you don't have it. So I'm going to use this like maybe 10% or 15%, and I'm just going to give it a little bump in the highs and the mids. And sometimes that adds a little bit of clarity and sharpness.
Oh, baby, when I'm with you, you got me feeling like my body's hot and nice. Tell me what I gotta do.
So that's what it sounds like at full. You'd never want to use it at full. You want to use, 15% or whatever.
Oh, baby, when I'm with you.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. It's really not a perfect recording. Yeah, man, just try. If it's an SM58, that's a good mic, man. I have one. I would say the best way to use it would be just make sure that you are a further enough distance from the microphone that you're not getting such a boomy and low centric signal. You want to push it back a little bit more, turn the gain up on your mic volume in, and then record it further out. You get a much better signal. It doesn't sound as like constrained. But in general, I think this is sounding much better now than it was, but I think it would be a good idea to try that. Try taking another take at it. It's great. It's a great track. It's a good idea. It just needs that vocal clarity. I think this is one of the types of tracks like where you want the vocal to really carry the song because it's very vocal centric. And we want to make sure that vocal is just like pristine. You want it to be right up in the front. It's a little better. It's still a little like compressed.
You got me feeling like my body's hot and nice. Tell me what I gotta do to keep you hot and nice. Tell me what you like.
Maybe we'll try Complex Pro. It seems like you've warped it. Might be a bit better.
Oh, baby, when I'm with you, you got me feeling like my body's hot and nice. Tell me what I gotta do.
It's really nice though, man. The songwriting's awesome. So yeah, and maybe on that, I'm just gonna put the EQ down a little bit in the bottom. So we're focusing on the tops.
Oh, baby, when I'm with you.
But I'm telling you, if you follow those ideas that I'm telling you with like the recording process, man, this would be ace. Because I think we're at a point here with this vocal that there's not much more I can do to correct this. We're trying to add high end, but you can't add something that's not there. You can take a really quiet signal and turn it up, but if the signal isn't there, you can't add it. And that's something you'll definitely come to find as you produce more and more. If you're missing 11K in a song, there's nothing you can do to create that 11K, short of adding another element that might have it. But just try to record this vocal with a little bit more high end, and again, that's just pulling it away from your face. There's this guy named Slate, Steven Slate, on YouTube, and he did a video on like the best way to record a voice for pop music or whatever, and it's definitely worthwhile watching it. He also makes the microphone I use, and they do really good stuff, but the way he shows off how to record it is really clear, I think.
Oh, baby, when I'm with you, you got me feeling like.
I'm thinking maybe a little bit of reverb on the clap too could be nice here. Such a soulful song, you want to kind of embrace that. Okay, so I don't have these sounds, whatever they are too. They didn't translate. Next month, man, I'd love to hear an updated version of this. Like, this is a really, really good idea. Afraid of bees. Okay, so on this guy, I'm just going to give it a little punch in the top. And maybe we'll stick a little bit of reverb on this group. So Valhalla. I noticed you had vintage, so I'll just use that. Maybe like at a 20%. Get that nice like soul ambience. Super nice. Fits that like jazz room aesthetic that you're conveying with that stand-up bass.
Got me going, got you going crazy. Loving you, baby, let your head go spinning, spinning it. Ah, my body touch your body, let us sway.
Ooh, I love the strings too. Give the drums a bit of a boost. Yeah, so I think that's majority of what I can change to this without having the whole project, like all the stems and stuff. Some of the stuff is muted, and then if we can get that vocal recorded right, man, this is a big song. I think that's a lot of potential. I'd love to work on this next month too. So everybody, this is Dustin's in the chat here, Dustin Rosada, sorry, With You, which is a beautiful song. I think that's what we're gonna call that one. Let's move on to the next guy. Great job, Dustin. Keep it up. Send me the update next time. I'm down to hear it. It's a really good tune. All right. Let's move on to. I guess we'll do SD because they're here in the chat now. Yeah, man. No worries. The track's fire. You can. Send me the update anytime. Definitely down to hear that. Just try retracking that vocal. I'm telling you, take it to the next level. All right, next one up. Uh-oh. Oh, this is for 11. This is live 11 track, not a 12. Does anybody in the chat have a 10 track? Because if you do, let me know, because otherwise I'm going to open it in 11. Yeah. All right, cool. Unnamed and unmixed. Yeah, man. Thanks for tuning in. Great work. I love it when I get like pop-centric stuff on these streams because I love, as much as I love EDM and stuff, like house music, my heart's in pop. Dude, that's amazing. Okay, I gotta screenshot that. That's awesome. That's going to my Twitter. That's really cool. Thank you, Essity. I don't know how you managed that. I hope you didn't like draw that yourself. Must have took forever. All right, let's check this thing out. Switch over to live 11. Yep, I did it. Let's do this. Something soloed. Or maybe you just don't have sound here. I have a feeling you don't have sound here. Or something. What's going on here? Media files are missing. Oh, you might not have collect all and saved, my guy. Doesn't look like your drums went through. I can check really quick if they're in here, but I don't think they are. Yeah. You didn't send the samples, Essity. If you want to send me the SoundCloud link or something while we're here, I'll check that out. But unfortunately, that doesn't look like your samples went through. I can check like the parts that aren't, you know, that. Don't know why I'm not getting sound now. Oh, there we go. Yeah, you can, if you want, you can just like, you know, collect all and save it and then drop me the Dropbox link in like Twitter or whatever. I can take a look at it later in the stream. Yeah, we'll do that because I don't want to play this like half. Oh, the melodies are awesome though, man. I'm looking forward to hearing it like together. Has some Julian Gray energy to it. Yeah, go ahead and send me the new link to like Twitter or whatever, and I'll get to it. Well, that was faster than anticipated. We'll dive into SD's thing later in the stream too. I do have to go at 2 though, because I have a meeting at 2:30, so we'll get through the ones we can. And we'll try to get through SD's again at the end. Software, they said. I am using Ableton Live. That's the program I write in. And I fix project files only for Ableton. I have a few students in FL Studio, but I am not an FL Studio user, so can't do that. Yo, World of Vestia's here. Welcome, Andy. Good to talk to you. Good to see you in the chat. Yeah, Essity, it does sound really good. I just wish I can hear it together. If you can send me the Dropbox link, or if you can send me even like a SoundCloud link, we can all listen to it and I can give you feedback on it. If not, the actual, you know, work in progress stuff. Okay, I'm going to open... So what I'll do here is I'll open them in Live 10 to start. And then if they don't open in 10, then we'll open them in 11. Easy. Easy-ish. All right, let's see. So we have Project 35. I want to say this is from guard data. Yeah, okay, so this is 11. Now let's, really quick, let's see if JC's is in 10, because I do not want to open another one in 11 if it's a 10 project, because, you know, it's annoying because you guys can't open it again. Yep, okay, so all the rest are in 11. I might make it a requirement in a few months that you have to use 11, because otherwise this is going to be an ongoing problem. I had one student in Live 9 like the past year or so, and I was like, oh my gosh. Okay, Project 35. Let's check this. And Essity, send me that thing, and we'll let me know when you do in the chat, and I will get to it. What do you guys think about Twitch streaming? I'm thinking about moving this to Twitch, or at least doing it also on Twitch instead of YouTube only, because I've heard that just more people like Twitch. Excuse me. Just send it, upload it to like Google Drive or Dropbox, and then send it to my Twitter or my Instagram or Facebook, whatever you want. It could be my Discord for all I care. Just tell me where. Oh, is this Seamus's? Cool. Oh, welcome, Tone Deaf. Good to see you. Both platforms would be fun, but I'd have to monitor 2 chats at once, which is annoying. I'd rather just use one. Maybe one, and then we upload the recaps to YouTube. Granted, that takes more steps. Yeah, I'd probably have more viewers on Twitch, but I do these for, you know, viewers of my YouTube channel and patrons of the channel anyway, so I'm not too worried about viewership on these. For like my music stuff, I always do Twitch. Great job, Seamus. This is fire so far. Unable to freeze some group processing. Yeah, unfortunately, there's no way to do that in the current version of Live. The only way you can do that is by bouncing a stem. It's a little quiet. I'm just gonna disable your utility for now. Yeah, I don't have Decapitator. I don't know why that is. Welcome, Terrorism. It's very pretty. Break is a little bit on the long side, but I don't hate it. This is a really solid start. Before we carry on, I just want to put a little bit of master limiting on so we can hear this how it would sound like mastered. I'm just going to use Pro L. Easier. I kind of bounce between limiters, between Pro L and Elevate and Maximizer. So let's give it like 7+. So some of the stuff with this one, I think the main thing I'm running into here is some of the music is a bit weird. The chord progression is a little bit unsatisfying. It doesn't like resolve right, in my opinion. There's some objectivity to like what makes a good chord progression and what makes a good resolve, I guess, for lack of a better word, I would suggest looking at like videos on how chord progressions work and how the circle of fifths works and some of your, you know, common chord progressions, because there's a few things about this that just don't work, to me at least. But the sound design is fine. The mix could use a little work, and that's probably what I'll focus most of my efforts on here. But some of the music I think could be a little bit stronger. We got Phantom in the chat here. Julian Beats Gray. Yeah, my old name on Facebook, if you guys didn't know, is Julian Beats Gray. And his old name is Phantom Sage. So really quickly, I want to check if I can, you know, address some of this musical stuff just by, you know, moving a few notes around. Maybe that can help. So this is a very interesting melody. Like, some of it doesn't exactly make sense musically. Like, I can't discern the key of the song, and also, like, you know, some of these notes, even if you, let's say, commit to like a B flat, this is like, some of these notes are like weirdly placed. So I would suggest going through, making sure that, you know, you're following a little bit more of a typical chord movement. Something to be said about that. Dude, we got Phantom Sage here, the Miko King. But rather than focus on the music, because that's, again, more subjective, let's focus on the mix. So first of all, let's go through here and see what we've got to work with. The melody, let's see. There's definitely some wrong notes in this, but I don't know how much I can do with that because I don't have your synth. That is like the wrong key entirely. I'm assuming it's like you're transposing one of your oscillators or something, and I'm assuming it's not like a wrong note. Okay, let's just mute this one. Yeah, this one I think is the culprit. Be wary of your music, because a lot of times producers get caught up in the idea of like the production or like the techniques you use to make the best bass sounds and stuff, but they don't think about like the notes that they're picking, and that's, you know, what music is fundamentally. So it doesn't have to be a key in jazz. Yeah, that's true, but this isn't jazz. Okay, that's better, but that first chord still isn't working for me. It doesn't have like a easy resolve. But that's okay. I'm not going to harp on that too much. Okay, let's check the kick bass, and then we'll check the main group again. So I think this lead is kind of conflicting with your chords. Like, it's the same octave, you're kind of playing similar notes, and the rhythm is totally different from the chords. So I say, if you want to keep this lead in here, I would say make it like, you know, an octave up or down, and make sure it's really not in that same space, the chords, because they're really like fighting. Okay, let's mute this really quick. Like, maybe, I mean, like, I could even go so far as to go in here and change the note, and I can show you like what good resolve would be like. Yeah, like it's instantly better. So if we did like just start on that G maybe instead of the B flat or whatever. It just doesn't have like a strong sense of like home. Copy and paste the lead 10 times, add chorus on each one, band and randomly group them all and put erosion on top at 100% at 3 kilohertz. That's like some Skrillex type shit. Like Skrillex would do that. And it'd probably sound great. All right, really quick, I'm gonna mute the one in here that's not right. I know I said I wouldn't harp on the music, but I can't help myself. I'm gonna just unfreeze this really quick, and we're gonna let's make this a G minor. Yeah, instantly better. So play that with the bass now. It's like, yeah. If we just copy these, so it has like an anchor to go back to. Like we reference a key. Again, I don't know if all these notes are right, but now at least it feels like it belongs in the key of G minor rather than, you know, whatever random key it was. This third note is weird too. I don't know what interval that is, but it's not like working very well. But you can hear how much better that like flows now. It's not perfect by any means. I would, again, still change that third note, but this is definitely better from a musical sense because it feels like it resolves now. So like here's the before. It doesn't really go anywhere. You kind of need an anchor, and that's this. Yeah, still don't love that second or third note, but it is what it is. I'm just going to color these yellow so that when you get this back, you can experiment with this idea. I don't want to, you know, again, control your song, but I think that personally it makes it better. I think I want to say that's the fourth. I want to say that the key is, that's the third. So if the key is G, which I think it is, if we hold this through the I guess it could be B flat. Something in the chord is making this sound not like a B flat though, so. That, it's not working, yeah. I think fundamentally it's the chords more than anything, but yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to harp on your music stuff. I'm going to try to fix some of the mix. And of course, you know, now we can't hear all the chords together, so I'll just re-enable these and we'll go with the old one, but I just want to address that. Yeah, no, that second one is way off. This is not even in the key. I don't have the capitator either. feels oddly like thin, like it's not, something's off about it. It's probably also not necessary to have both of these layers because they're fundamentally doing the same thing. You might just want to adjust the sound design for this guy. Can't get over this musical problem. Hold on. So that's like what, the Sus 4? Weird choice of chord there. Maybe go with the D and it's like the relative major? No? Maybe we can hold that D, actually. Go up to the C. Maybe down to F, actually. The way you have these chords voiced is really weird too. Like, let's see, this is it's really a G chord just reversed, right? And this is a D chord. No, it's a B flat chord with an added octave. So I'm trying to simplify these, like make them more into traditional chord stacks. So that's like a E flat add 9? I think I hear what you're going for. The third chord should be where the fourth chord is. Yeah, dun, dun, right. Again, I don't want to completely rearrange your chords. I want to kind of try to use them, but we go up to C there. That's really easy fourth chord release. Yeah, because then it resolves back around to the G nicely. This is still weird voicing for G. Like, this should be here. So, first inversion. G first, maybe might be second inversion. Anyway, it's a different idea altogether. I'm not going to touch that. I don't know how it sounds with Decapitator, but I think a little bit of OTT could work on this too. Sharpen it up a bit so it's not as dull and a little bit more compressed, less dynamic. There's just something off-putting about this chord progression to me. It's not that it's like inherently wrong, like the notes are in the right place, with the exception of this one. This is way off. That's like completely out of key. There's just something about it that's not resolving. So I would suggest looking into, why certain chord movements feel good. Like why going from a 5 to 1 feels good, why going from a 7 to 1 feels good, and why, going between other intervals feel bad. There's actually a lot of math behind that. It's has to do with stable and active chords, or stable or active notes in a scale, and it's definitely something you can look into if you're interested. But yeah, so I don't want to harp on the music for too long because I could redo your whole song's MIDI and not get anything else done. So I'm going to try to do some mixing stuff. It's hard to get past glaring like musical problems for me though, because I've like perfect relative pitch and it bothers me. And sometimes like the lack of the music being right bothers me, but let's see if we can address some of the other stuff too. For one thing, your kick's too quiet, like much too quiet. Let's turn that up. I don't know how this is grouped, but I feel like your kick should be in its own group, not in the kick bus or the bass bus. So I'm gonna take this to negative like 3. It's too loud, negative 5. Oh, it's because I took it out of the bus. For some reason, you have a reverb on the bass. Oh, it's automated. Okay, I was gonna say. So let's just work with this part here. The music sounds here. So let's go ahead and check this out. You don't need this overarching group, I don't think. Maybe you're doing that because you wanted to add reverb to the kick or something. For the sake of keeping this easy, I'm just gonna, keep the bass and the kick separate. A little bit more volume to your basses. Still feel loud relative to the chords. I'm going to turn the chord down. I do think that this needs a kick with a little bit more body, a little bit more top end. This is it seems to be like a big progressive song, kind of like Nicky Romero, Alesso kind of vibes, and I think that the kick is a little too subdued for this. Well, that sounds fine with the exception of the music. Can't take this. See, I don't love this D to B flat either. Maybe G. And maybe from here. It's kind of a Kesha vibe. Something's going on with this bass too. Like, there's not a lot of bass to it. It just feels very high, heavy. Might also be the phase of your bass line and the shape of the bass line. If we looked at it through a oscilloscope, I wonder what it looks like. This particular one. So Mr. Bill did a video on this a few months ago about the importance of essentially volume over time versus volume momentarily. And oops, that is not what I meant to do. I think it's oscilloscope. Yeah. And the idea is that we as human beings perceive volume over time louder than perceived volume at a very short length of time. So like if you have a sound that's 10 decibels, that's a millisecond long versus a sound that's 10 milliseconds long at -5, the -5 one's going to sound louder, just because it's been played longer. And if your wave shape is prohibiting the sound from maintaining at positive or negative, signal here for a long period of time, and it's only there for a second, like if you have a wave shape that's here for a second and then here towards the 0 line, which is silence for a majority of it, your bass is going to be perceived as weaker, because it's less volume over time. So as you can see, this line is very close to the center. It's very close to the 0 line. And if we just adjust some parameters in here, maybe we can make it a little bit more further out into the positive and negative areas. So I don't know if that's adding anything in. Yeah, instantly, I mean, that's better already, and that's not really even that much better. Let's try adding like a sine wave. Yeah, it's much worse. And you can see, like, when you hear it get audibly quieter towards as it gets towards the center, it's because we're adding too many harmonics, and it's no longer reaching the top and bottom as often, like here. Like technically we're still playing the same note at the same volume, but because we've added those harmonics, we no longer have as loud a bass, because it's closer to the center more often than closer to the edges. So you got how much more perceived volume that is. It's the same volume. So it's a little bit better. I definitely suggest looking into Mr. Bill's video on that, because it's really informative. All right, so you have your bass and your sub. Yeah, it feels much thicker now. Oh, Diva. It's got something on this too that's obliterating the high end. I don't want to linger on this project for too much longer though, because I gotta move on, but I've been good, man. Working on lots of music, prepping to tour again, which is awesome. I'm just gonna lose this high cut. I think that's exactly what I was hearing. You don't need to remove the high end of your strong forward bass, because a lot of the energy and the clarity of that bass is in the high end. If you remove that, then it just feels more subdued. Yeah, hear that? It might work better in the mix, but it doesn't have that same energy. So it's better to prioritize this over something else in the mix. So I'm gonna lose that, keep that energy there, and then we'll add in the chords again, which is only one layer of 3. The second one is completely wrong. I'm just going to delete that actually. A little bit of spread. Less unison too, so it's not as full. Kind of nice. other stuff on. Like Phantom said, I mean, just the bass and the lead would be sick too. I think he's going for that like trance sound, so saws are part of the DNA. Yeah, and then you can put that lead back in there. Again, I think the lead is competing with the chord, but you can probably adjust that. It just doesn't feel musically correct. So I would just, do a little bit more looking into, how theory works and how active and stable notes work, and how the reason why you pick a certain note in succession with the previous one rather than kind of just selecting random notes. For melodies like this, like pentatonic scale, you can't go wrong. So yeah, this is Project 35 by Seamus. Thank you for submitting, man. It's a really good start. I think readdress some of the music stuff. The mix is sounding much better now. The percussion sounds okay. The kick could probably be a little bit stronger, more like dancey. And yeah. All right, he says he wants to hear it with the bass and lead and no chords. Let's see how it sounds. It is sick. I mean, you got to address the musical stuff, but other than that, this is awesome. So yeah, I don't know. Phantom, that might be a good idea. You guys, if you want to check that out, might be worth trying. You guys, I meant Seamus. Well, good job, man. Good start. I think it could use some work, but we can, carry it on. All right, next up we have JC. Everybody give a round of applause for Mr. Seamus. Oh yeah, that's right. SD has a thing too. And I think I'm going to take maybe 10 minutes on each of these and then call this a wrap because I have a meeting at 2:30. So yeah. All right, let's check this out. JC's always got some cool stuff. She's a vocalist, songwriter. So I am excited to hear this. Yeah, as much as I love the EDM stuff you guys send me, I really am more of a pop listener. So goodness gracious, what's going on in my Finder? Okay, so that is the one. This is the one that didn't work. Let's do this. And let's see how JC's sounds. Okay. I don't know why contact's having a fit. Okay. Can I just ignore all? Live is now frozen. Phantom, we gotta hang out, man. I don't know if you're in LA still, but that would be awesome to see you again. Yeah. Dude, I don't even know how to get in touch with you anymore. You're not on Facebook anymore. Just hit me up on something. Instagram or something. I don't know. Twitter. It's been a while, dude. All right, come on. Load. Jesus. It's missing a lot of stuff. Well, we'll try it. We'll see how it sounds. Nice. You're in London. All right, well, come back and kick it, man. I'm in downtown, so. Ran out of disk space. I don't know how that happened. How big is this project? All right. Trying to empty the trash. Oops. I don't see how I could possibly run out of disk space while I've been here. Apparently it has. Jaspin, welcome. All right, let's see how JC's got here.
Sugar on my fingertips, sweet
Oh man, I
sense
love
of
your
salt
stuff.
in the air. Down the long dark spent path, little hero, get up and be a hero you found. Grow young, you'll see.
Every time I'm like, you sound like the next God, what are they called? 100 Waters. You sound exactly like 100 Waters. Obviously, like not exactly, but like in the same ballpark.
You see a different world than me. Big brown eyes, you will always see. It's just the way that you please. I
don't even wanna touch this. It's so good.
A hero you found. A hero you found. Run fast, you'll see. A hero you found. A hero you found. Run fast, you'll see.
We gotta get you on gradient, man. This is so sick.
Love sings for you to listen to me. You've grown young and found possibility. Traces in the sand, create what you want to see. A hero.
It's so like
you
unique
found,
too.
run
It's
fast,
so
you'll be.
fresh.
You see a different
I always
world
love your
than
music.
me.
Every time
Big
you sing it.
brown eyes, you will always see. It's just the way that you please. I can see what it is to be.
It's a very interesting arrangement. That would be my one critique. I think the lead might be a bit loud. I don't know if it needs this drum outro. I don't think it needs the drum outro. Like if you just kind of cut it here. Like this part here doesn't need to be here, I think. I think my main critique is the actually I'm not gonna do that because I don't want to be that guy and then accidentally like remove it. So I'm just saying you could probably just trim this out. Doesn't need to be there. Let's see the comments here. They're saying tune the vocals at all. It's the only thing that I'm hearing. I think that she's going for like more organic. Like if you're familiar with Taiko, or like again like 100 Waters is very similar to this, where it's very raw. I don't know that I want to like auto tune it. Cool and avant-garde anyway. Yeah. Kalimbo would be sick on the verses. Yeah, I could see that. it could use a bit more organics, like maybe like wind chimes or something, or like, you know, background noises. But I think like the subtlety of this is really nice. Like it's very in line with like Imogen, or like, again, 100 Waters, Japanese Breakfast, those kind of artists. Quiero Benito.
Down the long dark spent path, a hero you found.
I gotta
grow
get
young,
you
you'll
on
see.
grading, man.
A hero you found. Run fast, repeat.
So this is a bit weird because you go into just like this solo drum part with no like music here, which I don't know if it's like my lack of some plugin that I don't have, or like if it's just supposed to be like that, but I think it's a bit weird arrangement wise to go from like your vocal to nothing.
Found. Run fast, repeat.
Like right here. So you have this piano that you had off. Let's see that. Okay, so I think that was probably like an idea.
You see a different world.
A little quiet there. That's such a cool switch up though.
A hero you found. Run fast, repeat.
I would say you need some sort of like bass or something here. It doesn't have an element that complements it here, but I love that switch up between house and like that halftime. That's really cool. And I like your percussion too. That it's very bouncy and bubbly.
You see a different world than me. Big brown eyes, you will always see. It's just the way that you please. I can see what it is to be.
It's like I never want to touch anything you've done because it's so unique and pure and raw that I don't want to like gentrify it into like progressive house or something because it's so like beautiful. I would say maybe we can try a bass, and I'm gonna see if that works.
A hero you found. Run fast, repeat.
So you're going into like,
You see.
I'm just gonna actually grab this MIDI really quick and so we have the right note. Bam. My trackpad's acting up. You just drop it an octave or two, and then maybe we can try like a respace or something. Like really subtle, just to like fill this area up with something else but just drums.
Found. Run fast, repeat.
It's too low. Also don't know what key this is in. Yeah, actually that works. It's real simple.
You see a different
Nice
world
honk in the
than
background,
me.
yeah.
Big brown eyes, you will always see. It's just the way that you please. I can see what it is to be. In the air, down the long dark spent path. Little hero, get up and be. A hero you found, grow young, you'll see. catastrophe.
So I think this could work. Very like Atlasy. You take this up an octave and maybe a fifth, a little bit of detune like that.
You see a different world than me.
That's so
Big
sick.
brown eyes, you will always see. It's just the way that you please. I can see what it is to be a hero you found.
I think, like he's saying in the chat, there's just some like jarring switch ups, and I think that would be my main thing to address. This part, if you want to keep it, I think just needs a little bit of, you know, something else here, and you know, a bass like this might be helpful.
You see a different world than me. Big brown eyes.
Have you ever heard the artist Marisha? She's kind of similar to this too. It's very like forward thinking, doesn't have a lot of cohesion. It's a lot of different pieces put together, but I think it works.
It's just
I personally really like it. I think the random nature of it is cool.
a hero you found. A hero you found. Run fast, you'll see. A hero.
Like here, really quickly, as an example, I'll show you what I'm talking about, because I think there's artists that exist that have this kind of aesthetic and it works. You just got to really make sure that, you know, the flow of the track works. Hello, Spotify. Hi. 100. Yeah. Just for the people who don't know him. It's very similar vocal performance too.
Are we communicating? Are we communicating? Are we communicating? Are we communicating?
So like, I'll skip ahead of it.
Communicating? Are we communicating?
You probably use a similar microphone. Yeah, I can totally see you doing this stuff. It's one of my favorite albums. Or like Particle. Just try this kind of stuff.
I'm only a particle dropping you forever dissolving. Look at us revolving in a glass intact and trapped, and you can keep it all at bay always an arm's length away. But
I think this is like a good model artist for you because it's similar in tone and style, but it has like the arrangement and like the nice contrast and tension building that I don't think this has yet. Like, it needs to be arranged a little better.
you see a different world than me. Big brown eyes, you will always see. It's just the way that you please. I can see what it is to be. Found, run fast, you'll see. A hero you found.
It sounds like you already have kind of like a bass here. You You could probably use that in the beginning. Yeah, I think you could use a little tuning, but I don't know. I like untuned vocals on stuff sometimes, depending on what it is. Like, Tycho did a recent record with like totally organic vocals, and I think it adds a nice like rawness.
Way that you please, I can see what it is
Hi,
to be.
Rasco. I'm doing a Fix Your Project stream. So every month we do these streams where patrons of the channel can send in a project file, and I'll work on them and give my impressions of them. That lead is too loud. I mentioned that when we first started. I think it's this one. No. Turn that down. All of these are kind of loud, but notably that one super arpeggiated one. I think in general the mix sounds fine. It's more for you like getting the arrangement right. There's not a lot of like cohesion in the way the song flows around. Like, it goes from like house music to like, you know, these really dramatic broken sections like this,
Sugar on my
and then to like a, you know, halftime like trap style thing. But yeah, just give it a go. All right, so this is sounding really good. I would work on it longer, but I don't have time. I'm just going to check out Essidy's track really quick and give some quick pointers on it. Then I'm going to have to run. I have a meeting with Sophie and Zomboy. We're working on something very cool. And you guys will see that soon, hopefully. But, yeah. Let me see. Essidy take 2. Yeah. You guys will see that very soon, but I have to run to that meeting after this. So thank you guys for tuning in. Let's take a maybe 5 to 10 minutes here on this track. Zomboy, like the dubstep artist, like Skrillex, Zomboy, Excision. And then Sophie, like Sophie Needs a Ladder. Let's play musical chairs, one of my favorite games. Does your green shade have something to do with it? Yeah, it does. I wouldn't have done this for no reason. Well, maybe I would. Maybe I would into the future. I'm going to keep it green, actually, I think. The nifty MIDI is my favorite thing ever, by the way. Thank you for that. Let's give this thing a listen. Okay, so I don't have Pro L2. I do have Pro L2. I don't know why it's always doing that. I guess it's because the name isn't exactly the same. NFT MIDI PogChamp. Don't tempt me. Oh yeah, that's good already. That's crazy good. I would say introduce the bass earlier. That's just my like ADHD talking though. Ooh. I didn't expect that bass faller to be in that note. It's an interesting choice of note. So far this is good though. I like this. Hey Will, I'm actually wrapping this up after this project, but you can send it in for next month if you want. But we can have our session on Monday otherwise. CD collection. Let's go. This is like so close to being perfect. Something is like off though. So I'm going to pause here for a second. It's very interesting because we've had very different issues throughout today. Throughout the stream, there's been, you know, some artists have a very, some artists have an issue with arrangement. Some artists have an issue with music. Some artists have an issue with various things. I think that the arrangement on this one's fine. I think the music is fine. Like, the writing is good. For this one, it's more of sound design than anything. Mix and sound design kind of go in tandem. So I think if we can address that, we can fix this really quick. Will, if you mean you want to send me a project for our session on Monday, you can just message it to me on any of the various social media apps, or like you can text me and you can send it to me before the session, or we can just do it on the session. But anyway, yeah, so for me, I think on this one, it's like sound design and mix, whereas some of the others have had the adverse problem of like the arrangement wasn't right. This arrangement feels really good. We just need to address the sound design and the mix a bit more. So start things off, let's go up into the drop, and I'm just going to loop that so we can really dial this in. First thing, bass has too much high end. That's like bothering me a lot. It's gonna reduce how much you're multi-banding the highs and the mids. Actually, I don't even know if we need that. Chorus is shifting the phase, so it's making it a bit weird. I don't know if you need that. Turn this down a little bit, and then maybe roll off some of the highs here. That could be good. Actually, you're already doing that here. Yeah, and then as for your pads, they sound just a little bit cheap. They don't sound like premium. Something about it is wrong. I'm going to increase this voice count from 2 to like 7. Spread it a bit more. And let's reduce the spread of this one. I always try to use a odd unison number, because odd unison numbers have one centralized pitch unison that is basically perfectly on pitch and dead in the center, whereas the other ones are spread. I don't know if it needs this octave either. Yeah, it really doesn't really add too much, and it just kind of clutters the mix, because then you end up with a lot more harmonics in the top. Do that. Let's see how it sounds. Actually, let's give this one a little bit more high end. So you're actually automating that detune. Okay, so that's way too much. I'm gonna turn that down a lot. It's way too much. Still too much. That's like a lot. It doesn't need to be like a like a super Reese. It just needs to be, you know, a little bit Reese-y. Something like that. It says to take the OTT off. Yeah, I did. Maybe a little bit of envelope movement on this filter for your pad, like a sweep, like a. Yeah. Stitch the bottom. Hit it with the bass again. That's weird. Ooh. Wee woo. Definitely address that. I don't have a lot of time, so I'm just gonna, you know, color this colors that you should address, but double check. What I always do with big chord stacks like this is I'll solo, let's say like one element with another, and then I'll, you know, cross-reference to make sure that the MIDI is right. This is not right. There's musical problems here that you need to address. Otherwise, you're going to have a really, really harsh dissonance in there. Definitely need to address that. Might just be your chord against like your pad and your bass, but definitely an issue, and you definitely want to check that out. All right, so without doing that, I'm just going to go to the drop. A little bit less of this. Something on here? No. This is crazy too. I'm gonna just pull that off. Oof. Oof, oof, oof. Address that. Something about this isn't working too. Maybe if you put a big filter movement on the bass too, that would be nice. Gives it a nice like guitar kind of bass pluck sound. I don't know. I also don't know if you really need it to be so aggressively plucked. Like if you literally just legatoed this out, it might even be really nice. Like to be a bottom version essentially of what you have in your pad. Got that big epic like Medusa type feel, if you're familiar. So like, you know, it's kind of, rather than do all this, just initialize it. Give it some voices. Put a envelope on there, make it like a one direction, and then just, you know, sweep it like that. Something like that. I don't know. Yeah, just easy as that. I mean, something a little bit less, you know, harsh than syncopated bass. I don't know. Just an idea. I mean, this is nice. It's got that like bass guitar feeling, but this is very like progressive house. And I don't have a ton of time to check out all these sounds, but I think in general, just work on the sound design a bit more. Some of these just feel a little cheesy. Like maybe like a little bit more emotion in the cutoff or something. Lose the OTT on that too. And not reverb from Serum. Let's use like a real one. Something like this. It's all in the small stuff with the mix. You see how it's like better that sounds just with like a stock Valhalla? Lose the delay in here, and maybe we can go for the Ableton delay and just use like, you know, quarter note, like ping pong, and only delay the bottom, so it's like, make sure this is totally open. You have some fine-tune mod on there. I think it's going a little too low. Like it feels like it's no longer the same note. So just make sure it doesn't drift too far off key. Yeah, like. A little bit of compressor after the reverb and delay. You get that really nice, punchy, like pop melodic techno sound. I love that sound. It's one of my favorite genres. Definitely everything on here needs more sidechain too, but I'm not gonna do that right now. Maybe I'll just put it on a few things just because I want to hear this good. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap this for now because I gotta run, but really great start, man. I love this idea. Super relaxing, really good progressive idea. Just get it to where it needs to be. I think it's a banger. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this stream, make sure to tune in. I do these every month on the second Saturday of the month. This week was a week late because I was out of town. We do these every second Saturday, and you guys can tune in. And if you're a patron of the channel, you can submit your project file, and I can screw it up on stream. All right. If you're interested in that, the link is in the description of this video. Again, I put the post for Patreon up like a week before, and you can submit your songs if you're a patron of $10 or above. I'm Julian of Julian Gray Media. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you everyone who tuned into the chat on the side. You guys always give good input, and I'm sure people who have their projects reviewed value what you say about them. Somebody asked me, do you still use an iPod? Does that answer your question? Yes, I do. But anyway, guys, I will talk to you guys in the next month. I would love to stick around, but I got to run for this meeting. And yeah, I will see you guys in next month's stream, or maybe in a video between now and then. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.